Good morning. This is the Great Basin Prescribed Fire and Smoke Transport Briefing for Monday, March 13th. On the observed precipitation, a widespread wet week across just about the entire Great Basin. The exception is in the far southern portions of Nevada. You can see the percent of normal, 300 to 600% of normal across the Sierra Front and parts of western Nevada. Also, about 2 to 300% of weekly precipitation across a lot of the higher terrain of Utah, eastern Nevada, as well as parts of Idaho as well. No issues on 100-hour fuels, very moist for this time of year. And looking at new snowfall on the left, the yellow to oranges that we see across the higher terrain of Idaho, western Wyoming, and the mountains of Utah indicate anywhere from 6 to 12 and even pockets of 18 inches or more of snow, even higher across the Sierra Front where they saw 12 to 36 inches plus of snowfall the past 3 days. You can see the snow cover on the map, quite extensive across the Great Basin, more typical of a January than a March snow cover map. But of course, the depths are typical this time of year, actually quite a bit more. We see that on the snowpack. Current snowpack levels around 200% of normal across a good portion of the southern half of the Great Basin. As you get further north towards the central mountains of Idaho, closer to near normal, 100% or so, but still widespread deep snow cover across many areas. Should keep fire season at bay for quite some time. On the map, satellite imagery, weak high pressure, so weak that it really can't force out these clouds that are moving in across parts of Utah and Nevada. But we are looking at this big enhanced area. This is an atmospheric river, a concentrated area of very high moisture coming with its origins across the warmer waters of the semi-tropical Pacific waters, combining with a deep low pressure area dropping down out of British Columbia. These two will combine to produce a strong storm system for the middle of this coming week. And you can see that taking shape already by Monday. There was that big blob of moisture, that atmospheric river being merged into this low pressure area dropping down from the north. We see that moving into Northern California later today. No issues on our 7-day. Transport winds ahead of that storm already picking up 20 to 35 miles per hour across western Nevada and the Sierra. Lesser winds and some lingering inversions in eastern areas. Daytime humidity quite high in all areas except for the southern third of Nevada, where it drops down into the low 20% range. Vertical mixing heights looking really good, as is typical this time of year with the higher sun angle and the longer duration of days. Only place we could see some lingering inversions is across the Uinta Basin here in the valleys along and east of the Great Salt Lake. Now, for Tuesday, that storm system takes full shape. You see that atmospheric river being pulled into this low pressure trough. And so clouds and precipitation, this area in green covering just about the entire Great Basin. Humidity, daytime humidity is high in most areas. You see the strong winds here on the left from the transport flow more out of the south and southwest, 30, 40, even 50 miles an hour. Good overall vertical mixing of several thousand feet like you would expect. With the higher humidity, probably just covered piles being the only thing being able to burn readily. Storm system still affecting eastern portions of the Great Basin on Wednesday. Some drier air pushing into the western Great Basin, California, under this high pressure ridge. Later Wednesday, strong transport winds. See these purples and browns, 40, 50 plus mile an hour winds at the ridge tops and the transport level. Humidity levels still quite high on the right. Vertical mixing, again, same story, several thousand feet above ground level in all areas. This is the 3-day precipitation totals. The blues, dark blue to light blue, indicate a ½ inch to an inch and a half of precipitation, some locally higher amounts, and the purples closer to 2 inches. Along the Sierra Front, 4 or 5 inches of liquid precipitation. So you convert that, and across the higher terrain of Utah and Idaho, we're talking about maybe 10 to 20 inches of snow from western Wyoming to central mountains of Idaho and across all the higher elevations of Utah and even northern Nevada. Several feet, maybe 3, 4, 5 feet of new snowfall across the Sierra Front. Looking ahead for Thursday, high pressure building in with drier air, a brief break for us. It'll be a warmer day, as typically you get sunshine this time of year, you get warming. But So we go into Friday, there's another blob of moisture moving on in, and Saturday that moisture expands. We could see some more light to locally moderate precipitation under the dark green area that lingers again in the eastern portions of the Great Basin by Sunday. Precipitation from Thursday morning through Saturday morning. And then with that next system, Saturday morning through Monday morning, we see dark greens, uh, a quarter to a half inch of precipitation across the Sierra front, 1 to 2 inches. So that could be another 1 to 2 feet of snow in the Sierra front, maybe 5 to 10 inches of additional snowfall, higher terrain of northeast Nevada and much of Utah and into the central Idaho mountains. So this is the 7-day total precipitation when you add them all up. So again, a very beneficial precip event, again, for the higher terrain snowpack, also eventually for the Colorado River Basin, where a lot of this falls and it runs into the Green River and the Colorado River. So that is good news there. And the 8 to 14, the outlook doesn't change too much. A significantly cooler than normal signal across much of the Intermountain West, centered across the central part of the Great Basin, and a large above normal precipitation signal. This is going into the third or fourth week of March. So our pattern stays unchanged, cold, stormy, and wet. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.